Okay. What's up, you guys? Oh my gosh. Let's see. Bear with me, everybody. Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay. So, for the first time ever, I am, I feel so silly. I'm such a rookie here. I'm using this thing called OBS. Like, this is the most advanced I've ever been in technology. And can you guys just let me know if you hear me or if you don't hear me? Like, just put it in the chat and I'll try to look at it because it's over here. It's to my left. Anyway, for the first time, I'm streaming on my Sony vlog camera instead of on my phone or on my laptop. So I'm a little like trying to get my shit together now because I thought when I hit start streaming, I thought it was gonna take me to like the preview room like it always does whenever you do it on the computer, and it did not. It just I was live. So we live and we learn. But anyway, okay. Oh, now that frazzled me just a little bit. I have my notes here. Welcome to Tarot and Tapping, my friends. I have a really juicy message for all of us today. And I'm going to start it out by saying, um, I woke up this morning and this message came into my body first. And I woke up to a familiar feeling that I've kind of wrestled with, I don't know, forever, for a very long time, ever since I started learning how to manifest and consciously create and all this stuff, change my energy consciously and just heal, I suppose. And it's this feeling, and this you're going to recognize this feeling if this message is for you. It's going to feel like, mm, yeah, that's the thing that feels like it's in my way. And what I mean is, I woke up and immediately there was like this unconscious expectation that something in my physical reality was going to be different. Okay. And it's like that kind of narrative in the back of my mind that's like, I've been putting in all this work, I've been doing all this stuff, like something's got to change at some point, right? Excuse me. And when you open your eyes and you see that, oh, nothing has changed, nothing's different. And then that overwhelming disappointment kind of lands in the body. So that's the feeling that greeted me when I opened my eyes this morning. And at first I was wrestling with it. At first I was just like, "Oh, this doesn't this isn't where I want to be. Like what's going on? Why am I feeling so heavy?" I've been feeling pretty good the past couple days, and so I just took some time with myself. I sat outside with my coffee and I enjoyed the weather, and I just kind of like practiced some gentle feel good thoughts, like little things that felt accessible to me in the moment. And what dawned on me, boom, lightning bolt in the brain, was that, oh my gosh, okay, first of all, I'm channeling today. I'm doing my live today. So this is a message not just for me, this is for a collective of people who have been putting in the work and they continuously feel disappointed with the progress in the material side of things. And, it's that's an understandable feeling, but there's something to it. A deeper layer was finally revealed to me because I don't know if I've accessed this before, but today I felt like this is the day of freedom. This is the day we break free from this particular chain. And so we're going to talk about the mechanics of this. And I've got a tarot card here, and I also have my astro dice. That's what I've really been feeling called to, my astro dice lately. And I rolled them and I was like, okay, I'm aware now. Like as I felt my feelings and everything, I'm aware of why this feeling's coming up. This like sense of disappointment, this sense of I'm doing something wrong. It's not here yet, therefore I must be doing something wrong or I'm not doing enough. God, that used to steal me, man. It used to steal me. But okay, so I asked my inner being, and I call her Nova. You guys may have heard this before. I say it all the time now on my podcast. But I named my inner being and named my eternal self with a bird's eye view. I named her Nova. That way it's easier for me to connect and like plug in real quick. And so I asked Nova, I was like, all right, girl. I was like, what? There's something else underneath this feeling. What do we need to see? What do I need? What energy do I need to break down for my friends in this collective who are also struggling with this feeling? What's the sauce that we're all swimming in? Okay. And sorry if it disconnects. I have no idea. I am, like I said, this is the first time I've used this OBS thing. So if it's a little janky, we'll live and we learn. We'll learn and we'll just move on to something else. But I just said that because I noticed that it was like black and then live on Substack. So I don't know what that was about. We'll see. But anyway, okay. So the Astro dice that I pulled today, that's speaking to that pain. That's kind of like keeping us all locked into this perspective that says nothing's changing. There's something wrong with me. There's something I'm doing wrong. There's something that I'm missing. Like, who's familiar with that thought? There's something that I'm missing. I pulled the energy we have, and if you have this in your chart, or if this is something that you're familiar with, or something you've been seeing, let me know. But we have Saturn. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. I probably shouldn't even bother trying to show you these little dice, honestly. It's not even gonna, it's gonna blur. We got Saturn and Pisces in the 11th house. Okay. We're just gonna, there you go. That's what came out in the Astro dice. So Saturn and Pisces in the 11th house. And the first thing I want to say to you guys, I wrote down some notes here that I was channeling. And if you guys have not listened to, I recently channeled a message like the other day, and it just like flooded through me. And it was a message about how it was a message about a delay. It's for a collective of people who feel like they're in a season of delays. And it's like this in between worlds kind of feeling. And so the collective I'm speaking to, go listen to that message if you need to. Um it's purposeful. This is the first thing I need to say to you guys. This is the first thing, and this that message, mind you, unlocked me for trust, like big time. I mean, I felt like, okay, I can finally trust this process. Can you guys tell me, is it going black on you guys? Is the screen going black on you guys like it is me? Because if it is, I'm about to quit this and then restart it and just do it a different way. But okay, let me know in the chat if anybody could, please and thank you. Because I don't want you guys to keep getting interrupted. But all right. So the season of delay, the reason why it is purposeful is because number one, there is an initiation happening within you. And essentially this delay, every time, like just like today, I woke up and the first thing I felt was nothing has changed. Something's wrong with me. I'm doing something wrong. This season of delay is revealing the limitations that you were still holding on to subconsciously. Because, and there's a narrative within this collective, okay? There's a narrative in the mindset that says, um, where's my words? Give me words. There's a narrative in the collective about this is happening to me. It's not happening for me. It's this like little lingering victim mindset, even though I feel like who I'm talking to, y'all don't really believe in the victim mindset anymore like you used to, but you still wrestle with it. You still kind of fall into the unconscious aspects of it, the old programming, the old wiring, because it's like wiggled in there in all kinds of aspects of our lives. And every time one comes up, we have to update that programming. We have to update that wiring, right? But there's this whole thing, this whole season of delay. It's answering a deeper question that you've been asking, and it's essentially initiating you into your power. Okay. And I don't mean power in the cheesy sense, like just I'm trying to empower you kind of shit. Like, I mean, like literally the conscious use of your power, like using your embodiment, your body sort of as the tuning fork for your reality. And it's not so much that you're creating something out of nothing, although it seems that way. It's more so we're aligning with potentials that already exist in the vast potential, the infinite potential of the quantum field or source or God, whatever you want to call it. And so it's not, we're not building something. This was kind of the way it came through. It's like, we're not building something. You're not building something in your life just to get something. Okay. It's not like just to get money. It's not like just to get clout or a lover or what the fuck ever. There's a call within you, like the underneath of your surface level goal. Like here's the material version of it, right? The underneath of it, there's a question being asked. There's a desire for sustainability and freedom. And when I say freedom, I mean not being emotionally controlled or caged by circumstance. Oof, you guys. And there's this like my solar plexus, like, hello, the power center just like opened. And I feel like this, and with this 11th house energy and this Pisces energy, I mean, that right there, there's already messages coming through right now. There's like, if you think about it, I stay intentionally unplugged from the material world in a lot of ways, like when it comes to politics or anything like that. Because I like to focus on what I can control, not what I can't control. And I follow my intuition and I trust other people's intuition and their judgment on how they choose to engage and respond. And I choose to engage and respond in the way that feels aligned for me. And so, for what's coming through with that, with the Pisces and the 11th house energy, there was a comparison that I had to navigate today. And it was the comparison between the collective consciousness that the 11th house represents, or Aquarius energy, right? And the collective consciousness that Pisces in the 12th house represents. And the difference between those was we have the kind of like outer webbing, right? Like the almost like the interface to the inner coding, if you will. It's like the 11th house Aquarius collective consciousness is like the social constructs, the culture stuff, the like social media, if you will, the internet, the things that connect us in the physical world. And the Pisces aspect of it is the collective consciousness that represents the invisible world. And it's kind of like the web exists within that oceanic kind of like infinity, right? And again, we're talking like society structures versus collective consciousness in the sense of the void, right? The void that we hear about from Abraham Hicks, the quantum field we hear about from quantum mechanics or Dr. Joe Dispenza. It's like they're not separate at all. One is expressing the other. And so this whole desire, this collective desire that we're navigating, that we're manifesting, that we are bringing into form, that is a part of this message. Something is coming into form. This desire to not be emotionally controlled by circumstance. Every time I say it, that feeling, it is happening because there's a greater purpose to that collective shift. This is a collective shift that we're going through, but it starts on the individual level. That's why it's happening at a collective level, or it's going to. But what I'm essentially trying to say is, how many times have you heard a story outside of you on the news or from someone who watches the news? And it's like everything's going to shit. This bad thing, that bad thing, this thing, that thing, that thing, that thing. And you can't help but kind of feel like this, ugh, no, oh, that's terrifying, right? And that right there is like the body being pulled into that emotional current. And that is creative energy. That is alignment energy. Like we are tuning our fork here, if you will, to be aligned with that outcome, right? And so it's almost like a call to take back emotional power, which means mental power, okay? And discernment. So that way we can actually have a hand individually in directing how things are going. Okay? Instead of just being controlled by the media, if you will. Okay? And it's like I just heard the word majority. Like something about like it there's a tide changing, and that'll make sense in a moment when I show you the tarot card that I pulled for this message. But there's like this energy of there will come a point, if not, it already exists in the field. We're just aligning with it. This is us aligning with it. This is like the invitation to consciously align with it. But there's like this feeling of the majority taking over the majority of the energy, or like before it was like fear kind of reigned, and now we're shifting it into where fear is becoming a tool for us to alchemize and to expand into greater expressions of ourselves. And we're learning that fear isn't something to be afraid of. It's something to work with. It's something to allow to guide us into ourselves, into unity with ourselves and each other. And so I hope I'm articulating this right. This part of it is really kind of like hazy the way it's coming through, but I just really feel like this is bigger than all of us. This is like, this is this message. I want you to take it on an individual level, but I also want you to understand that this, whenever you do this work with yourself, you really are shifting the future, if you will, if you want to think of it in linear time for a moment, because we do work with linear time, even though linear time is just kind of an idea. But because really we're only ever experiencing the present moment. But still, like the idea of a future and the idea of a past drives us, right? So there is an invitation in this individual shift to understand that this is really rippling out in a way that is going to make it easier for others to stop being crippled and controlled by circumstance, because really it's how we're responding to it that really determines where we're going, more so than the circumstance itself. I hope that makes sense. But okay. Oh, let me look at these notes that I have. Okay. Yeah. Creative freedom over our lives. Like individual creative freedom over our lives. That's something that we're coming into with this. My notes, like when I channel, I get so scribbly. Yes. And so we're being initiated. So like these moments when this fear hits, when we wake up and we're feeling like nothing's changing, that's an initiation moment. And we're going to talk more about that. But one thing that we have to give up, like I touched on already, is this energy of this is happening to me. Like, oh, the moon is in this sign, or Mercury's retrograde, or, this sign, this planet is retrograde, or the president did this, or this country did this. Like, there's too much. Okay, this is a big shift, and this might trigger some people, and that's fine. You need to be triggered if you're triggered. It's triggers are not bad. They're opportunities to transform and to deepen into your own sense of trust and wholeness. And so, and safety is foundational. And that, so when you get triggered based on something outside of you, that's an opportunity for you to reorient to your inner safety, to reach into that instead of expecting this to keep you safe. Because if that's not keeping you safe, that's a lesson that is a spiritual divine lesson trying to show you through your experience, like, hey, your safety does not belong to this. You are outsourcing it. And now is the time to take it back, because really that's what you're asking for. That's what we're asking for. It took me a long time to get that. Like my whole pursuit of like big money, I realized was just me trying to reclaim my own sense of safety. But anyway, so we have to let go of this whole story of this is happening to me. We have to start seeing everything. Okay. And only take what resonates, by the way, guys. I meant to say that in the beginning. Only take what resonates. But we have to take responsibility for the inner experience that we're having. And we got to stop projecting it. We got to stop blaming it. And I feel like whoever I'm talking to, the ones who this really resonates with and really activates, I feel like you're already in the process of doing this. And this is just like, this is so much confirmation for someone. And this is just going to like make you deepen into your work. But okay, so like I said, we have Saturn and Pisces in the 11th house in the astro dice. The presence of Saturn, and I heard specifically my spirit said, say inner Saturn, inner Saturn. Okay. Not Saturn in the sky above you, like out there doing something to you. No, 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 no. This is you. This is an aspect of yourself, of your consciousness that is at work within you. Okay. The presence of Saturn is kind of what's giving rise to this initiation energy. And it's uncomfortable, by the way. So if you're uncomfortable, welcome. Welcome to the party. But your inner being, okay, your intuitive self, the greater part of you, like I call mine Nova, you can, if you don't have a relationship with yours, maybe if that resonates, create a relationship, start to open up to a relationship with your inner being. That way you can have a little bit more of like a conscious connection to the invisible energy that's kind of controlling your world, if you will, or like dictating your circumstances and whatnot. So, okay. So this greater part of you, by your asking, is the cause for this. Is the cause for the delays, is the cause for these fears coming up. And sorry, I'm trying to catch up on my notes. And okay. I'm really harping on this the inner being and the cause and taking responsibility, because here's the thing, and like I said before, when you blame anything else, you're kind of like unconsciously, but you're choosing to sort of exist in this subtle state of powerlessness, even though you're using your power to be powerless. But that's what we're doing, you guys. And so this is your inner Saturn inviting you to start seeing it from the other way around. Whatever's going on in your life. Whether if it's like maybe money's not flowing in the way that you've wanted it to, or maybe your relationship is really like on the rocks, like whatever it is, or maybe there's something, some instability in your life. Although I feel like the people that I'm talking to, I feel like the instability has been balancing out in some way, like small ways, maybe even mostly in just how you feel. Maybe, yeah, you're still getting these little fears, but there's something smoothing out. That's kind of the sensation I'm getting. But the reason why this message is coming through right now is because there's something that really wants to come into form. Not even wants to. It is. Okay. It is coming into form. There's this message of there's something that already exists. Like if we think about Saturn, Saturn is about structure. It's about building something enduring, building something sustainable. Okay. And that sustainability, that whatever you've been putting the work into, okay, it's formed in the energy in the invisible realm. Hello, Pisces. Hello, Pisces. Okay. That's the unseen. That is the invisible. That's the subtle currents, the subtle energetic currents that we're always navigating through in every moment of our lives. That invisible stuff that you think no change is happening. You look around, you're like, no physical thing has happened, so nothing's happening. No, no, something has definitely happened. Okay. And this message is coming to someone because number one, as a mirror, okay, I'm not coming to you outside of you. I know it looks like I am. Just go with me for a second. Let's get woo for a second. I'm not bringing this message to you from outside of you. It just appears that way. Really, I am just this projected aspect of yourself coming to you to tell you something you already know deep down that you're not fully trusting yet. And it's that unwillingness. I'm going to challenge you and I'm going to say that unwillingness. It might be unconscious unwillingness. Sure. I mean, most of the time that's the case. But there is an unwillingness to trust. And for most of us, the word safety just boom in my head. Boom. Okay. There's something about trusting this that doesn't feel safe. And that's where the tapping really comes in. That's why I always bring shit to tapping, because tapping creates that somatic safety. It gives you unconditional safety because you are creating it in your body using the tips of your damn fingers and and like the surface of your skin. You're creating safety. And it doesn't depend on anybody but you and your relationship to yourself. So okay. Yeah, there's something about like it's the fantasy has to end, and I think it's just going back to that whole idea that you're at the mercy of anything other than yourself. Um, let's see, what else do I have here? Yeah, okay. So let's go back to the first thing I said about waking up and looking around and nothing changed. Okay, so if you dare to do it, I wrote this thought down on a piece of paper when this started to come clear for me. I wrote down, I wish I had my other notebook over here, but it's fine. I wrote down on my piece of paper, nothing is changing, therefore I'm doing something wrong or I'm not doing enough of something. Okay. And the reason why I wrote it down is because I wanted to get it out of my head and I wanted to look at it objectively. And what I noticed is that I'm not upset. And this is a message for you. Okay. You're not upset. This is going to really piss somebody off or going to free somebody. You're not upset because nothing has changed. The discontent in your body is a product of you thinking, feeling, and aligning and moving from that perspective that nothing has changed. Okay, I'll say it again. The discontent in your body is not coming from the objective fact that nothing has changed. It is coming from your inner awareness being on the idea that nothing has changed. It's that thought, that thought, that's why I wrote it down as a sentence on a piece of paper. That thought form, okay, that is what's causing the discontent. And that thought form is a pattern. It is a pattern, a habit that you have been thinking for a long time, as well as I have. Okay. I've been thinking that thought for a long time. It used to be real bad. Oh my gosh. It used to drive me crazy every single day. But that thought form, that habit, that is you on an unconscious level resisting the changes that are starting to move through you. That is you resisting the subtle changes that you have felt happening. You haven't seen it happening, but you've been feeling it happening. Okay. That is you resisting that. That is you saying, I'm scared to let this in. And so I'm going to like pinch off my awareness, because that's how we do it. We pinch off our awareness, or we expand our awareness with our thoughts and whatever we're giving attention to. And so if I'm giving my attention habitually to a thought that says nothing's changing, everything's staying the same, and that sameness reflects a version of me that's not enough and not good enough and is never doing enough, then you are filtering your perception to only be aware of what matches that. And it's not a one and done. Like, this is something that's been happening in the background over and over and over again. And this reading right now for someone is bringing the spotlight to it in the dark corner of the room. We're shining the light on it. And so so what you need to hear is that there is something that's just, like I said earlier, there's something that's already changed. It's already happened. I just heard the whole there's no going back, really. It's only a matter of like how much you can resist this, honestly. And it doesn't mean like someone's gonna have an avalanche of something physically happen all of a sudden. I mean, fuck, I don't know, maybe. That's between you and your inner being and your material experience of reality. But something, something will start to happen. I'm not gonna try to give you a timeline, but because I'm not trying to set nobody up for disappointment or, whatever. But for someone, after this conversation, and my energy just feels so like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, I feel it, like my eyes getting heavy and stuff. I don't know. That's interesting. It just feels heavy, not heavy in a bad way. I just feel kind of like dense a little bit. It's interesting. It's interesting. So if I'm like slow a little bit, that's why. I don't know. I'm trudging through something right now. But yeah, there's something about after this message, because I'm gonna, like I always do. I always try to guide you guys into putting this shit into practice. Not just Don't just take what I'm saying. Take the parts that really rang in you and apply them in a tapping session with yourself, or you can do it with me, however you want to do it. But the point is to start creating these changes and start getting into this, like, as Abraham Hicks calls it, this like receiver mode, or the state of allowing. And because that's really the invitation in all of this, is like, work with this, not against it. But let's keep going on all this. Okay. Yeah. So Saturn in Pisces is, we're making the invisible real. We're learning where faith becomes embodied. Okay. And then this is the big kicker. I might even title this reading afterwards as this: sacred discipline. Okay. The fantasy must become embodied. And the fantasy meaning, oh, I'm not at the mercy of the president, or a global war, or like I don't know, like internet trolls or something, whatever it is, or people's opinions. I'm not at the mercy of external circumstance. That must become embodied. That is the challenge here for us individually, so that collectively we can experience that. So yeah, something is literally in the process of crystallizing. You're learning to let it in, and it's more so moving through you. It's not even so much that you're, again, like I said, you're not just creating something from nothing. My messages are all jumbled up. So if I repeat myself, we're going to trust that that's on purpose and that's divine. Okay, so here's a big invitation for you guys. Think of every negative thought that you get. Like this morning, I got the whole nothing's changing. Think of every negative thought that you get, instead of as like a roadblock, as a hurdle, as something stopping you or something in your way, and that feeling that comes up, but as an initiation. It's an initiation, an opportunity to take hold of the steering wheel. Okay. Because I remember one of the thoughts I had this morning whenever I was out there feeling this heaviness, like not this, but a different kind of heaviness. And I remember thinking to myself, I feel like I'm just kind of at the mercy of my emotions right now. Like I don't really even feel like I have an ability to navigate this or to guide myself out of it. And I feel like a lot of people feel that way. They think that when they feel something, they're just stuck in it. And maybe in the beginning it does feel like that because that energy really is dense and it needs to be processed, which is again why we tap. Okay? And that's exactly what I did. I tapped through it. I tapped through it just to help my body metabolize and move that energy through me and move it out. But more than that I realized like that's part of the work here. Part of the work and the awakening that's being offered to us is to realize that we're not at the mercy of how we feel. Like this is all happening for us. It's our body supporting us. And I think like this is where we need to trust our bodies a little bit more too. Like I do this every time. Like if I have like something weird going on, I used to be like low key hypochondriac. Then I would think, oh, something's wrong. I'm gonna die. I got the C word. Like something's wrong. Something bad is gonna happen. But now I've taught myself like, okay, what happens if I trust my body? And lo and behold, anytime I trust my body, something starts taking care of itself or something resolves itself. And I didn't really need to do anything. I just had to trust and honor it. And I learned that from Wayne Dyer, reading his book, Wishes Fulfilled, about how he responded to his leukemia diagnosis. He was just like, I'm not doing anything about it. I'm just going to trust my body. I'm going to trust that it's doing its thing. And I think I looked it up later on. I think that I don't know the whole story. I'm not going to try to say I do, but I think he died of a different cause, if I'm not mistaken. I could fact check me, but I feel like, because I was like, wait a minute. This was like early on in my manifestation journey when I was just learning about this shit. I was like, hold on a second. Did he die from it though? Like, what happened? And regardless of if he did or not, it doesn't matter. Like he trusted his body, and if that's the way it was supposed to go, and that's the way it was supposed to go. And that's just trusting the bigger picture. That's trusting the invisible aspect of ourselves because really we only see this much of reality, right? We're only like really in touch with consciously this much. And so I like to approach that big empty like, well, I don't know what the fuck else is going on around me if there's so much more going on around me with curiosity and a lot more faith these days than fear. But okay, let me look at these notes. Yeah, so I think I've said this earlier, but we'll say it again. Yeah, a big question being answered is less of when will I see the changes? I feel like that's our fear voice, it's our urgency. Okay. And urgency is just, we're not trusting. That's urgency is an opportunity to trust, just like doubt, just like fear. They're opportunities to deepen into ourselves. So it's less about when will I see these changes and more so how do I stop feeling so powerless? Like that's a big question that's coming through for some of you. How do I stop feeling so powerless? How do I dance consciously with awareness, with the shifting currents of reality? Um, Yeah, okay. And I'm gonna go ahead and show you. So the tarot card that I pulled today, and I just thought it was so perfect. I was like, okay, well, we started this conversation off with, I don't feel like anything's changing. And we've learned that that thought itself is what's blocking our awareness of the changes that are happening. Not saying that you're gonna automatically start seeing stuff, but as you start to adjust that thinking and you start to consciously navigate and you start to train yourself to think more proactively instead of reactively, then you're actually opening up your consciousness to see what the fuck is changing. And then we pulled the Wheel of Fortune, you guys. I see people always like block. Okay, that did work. Hello, look at that. The Wheel of Fortune is the card that came up to kind of like round out this message for us. And let me just look at my other notes because I feel like I have this little book and then I have my I have my big book. Okay. Let me go to my little book. I want to talk about the Wheel of Fortune. Okay, because there was a specific message for someone that came through in the Wheel of Fortune. There is a change happening beneath the surface. Okay, that's just what the Wheel of Fortune represents. It's But what I really wanted to say to someone is there's a pattern that's been repeating. That thought is a big part of it, but now it's changing. This whole experience, and I hope you guys can feel it with me. There's like this multidimensional thing I'm feeling right now. This whole experience, this conversation from that feeling that we woke up with, or at least I woke up with, maybe you felt it yesterday, maybe you'll feel it tomorrow. I don't know. Maybe you just know what the fuck I mean, but that feeling, that the disappointment, that discontentment, that impatience, that is the pattern that has been repeating and repeating and repeating because we've unconsciously been playing it out and we've been unconsciously telling that story. And so the Wheel of Fortune is coming out to kind of like round out everything we heard over here, and it's saying that is changing. That pattern is coming to an end. And it's coming to an end. I mean, yeah, because you definitely have been doing the work on yourself, right? But really, like, we're just arriving at the point where this is ran its course, like it served its purpose. Because really, like, this is why we don't shame ourselves because when we think negatively like that, we're trying to protect ourselves. That's our nervous system literally just being in like fight, flight, freeze, fawn. Like, even if it's at a subtle level, we're just protecting ourselves from some perceived or imagined or whatever kind of like threat to our safety. It's not and that's like if we think about what's threatening our safety, it's a lack of familiarity. Like that's why tapping is so important. That's why I tell everybody tap daily, tap, address your anxieties with tapping because again, it's conditioning your body to feel safe unconditionally. It's showing you and teaching you that safety is in your hands and it always has been in your hands and it always will be in your hands and you can feel safe no matter what's going on. I mean, I one time created safety. I didn't even realize what I was doing. I did it with meditation. So you can use whatever you want, but tapping I find a lot easier to use than meditation. Um, but I did it while I was in the car with this screaming man. Like he was screaming in my face, just berating me. Just like we got into a disagreement and he was just so toxic, so abusive. And and I literally just like started meditating in the seat next to him and like I felt safe. I ended up feeling safe and I didn't know what was gonna happen. I didn't know like is he gonna get so mad that he just like texts me in the car? Like is that gonna happen? Is my like tuning him out and ignoring him gonna make him even more mad? But no, actually he calmed down and he shut up. I was like, chef's kiss. Thank you. But it was just like a small moment, kind of big for me, but it was like a little moment where I was like, "Oh wow, okay, I've got more power than I realized." I mean, sure, I didn't engage. Well, he shut up. No, he wanted to fight. He wanted to fight. Like my energy transmuted that experience. Okay, okay, but okay. And the core message here though is like you have arrived in your next chapter. You have arrived. Okay, but the fact that it feels unfamiliar and it's you're still getting used to this energy. Your nervous system is still acclimating to this new you, this truer you because it's been so used to being like covered up and hidden underneath the fear and the stories of like how unworthy you are, how undeserving you are, how much of a failure you're going to be, blah fucking blah. You know, it's been covered up under all that shit. And so it's been like, it's like think of wearing like 3 jackets all the time every day for like your whole life and then suddenly you take off a jacket and it's like, "Ooh, that's a little weird." And then you take off another jacket and it's like, "Oh, that's weirder." And then you take off another jacket and it's like it feels good, but it's like, "Huh. This is weird." I feel vulnerable. I feel exposed. And so that's kind of like I feel like what a lot of us are going through right now. And it's actually really beautiful because you know what, you guys, and I actually heard a YouTuber say this too. They said that they had a channel that just like it blew up really, 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 really fast. And she said, I was really happy, but it destabilized the fuck out of me. And I was like depressed for a couple months. And that was so real to me because it's like, we don't understand how important these delays actually are because the version of you that produced that desire that is attempting to form for you right now, it that version of you was a totally different nervous system state than this version of you that's going to receive this. And don't want, you really don't want, this is where Saturn is such a fucking blessing. Thank God for Saturn. Thank God for Saturn. Oh man, that inner Saturn. Dog, I used to like hate it. I used to hate the fucking slowness, the concept of Saturn. I would be like, fuck you, dude. Give it to me already, right? But no, it's so wise. It's so divine because if you were just, boom, here it is, you might ruin it. Like, genuinely, you might ruin it. I know that for myself. Like, even in this moment, I'm coming into more gratitude over the timing. And it's like, yeah, sure, I want to be in that beautiful, dreamy apartment that I'm manifesting like now. I want to be there physically now. But I understand that if I don't trust this timing, and if I were to go try to do it the 3D way versus the 5D way, right? Which I heard someone explain this, and that's why I'm saying it so loosely, but or so like, you know, but really it's just more like manifesting through force, creating through force, or aligning through force versus aligning through the energy, through embodiment. It's kind of like when you go to like break a habit, like okay, I used to get high like every day, like on just smoking weed or taking edibles. And I fucking love edibles, I'm not gonna lie. But I would drink every day, whatever. I used to I used to just do it like too much, like more than I should be. I could feel in my body. I was like, this is taking up too much space. But I knew if I tried to force myself to just stop, I was gonna feel a lot of tension in my body and I was probably just gonna keep doing it. And I tried that a couple times. That's why I knew that because it happened over and over again. And so I was like, all right, we're going to do this the embodiment route. And so I started consciously thinking, and that's a big part of this message today is consciously thinking, making it a practice, that sacred discipline that I mentioned, making it a practice. And so I started telling myself I'm the type of person who prefers being sober. I didn't believe it for shit the first time I said this, but I tapped through any resistance I felt. So my body received the thought and I was like, whatever, I'll be curious. Like, we'll see if this sticks. And so I kept saying it every day, and then throughout my day, even whenever I got high, even whenever I would take the edible, I'd be like, I prefer to be sober. And lo and behold, one day I woke up and I was like, all right, I'm done. I'm just not going to do it like that anymore. I might do it occasionally because I genuinely like it, but I'm not going to do it like I was because that was not helpful. That was not productive. I was spending too much money on it and it was just not aligned. So I decided to change that relationship and it was just so much easier. Like I didn't have the resistance. Now I don't even think about it. I think the only time I think about taking an edible is whenever I had a beer. That's it. And I don't do that often anymore. But yeah, I had a beer not too long ago and I was like edible. But anytime after that, I don't fucking think about it. I don't care. Whereas I would literally like edible, go. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And you can have that for anything. It doesn't have to just be substances. It can be food. It can be like watching TV. It could be whatever, sex, who knows, you know? But do it through embodiment first. Do it through your thinking first. And then your thinking will adjust your energy. Things will reorganize in your nervous system and your behavior will automatically change. Like I've been playing with that for months now and it works. And so that's kind of like the big invitation to you guys. And it's hard at first if you're not doing conscious thinking. It is hard at first. I'm not going to lie to you. But when you combine it with tapping, because tapping, like I said, it metabolizes that emotional tension that keeps you locked into looping thoughts that keep you like stuck and feeling like shit. When you tap, it also is rewiring your brain too. So it's creating permanent changes in how you think. That's why I'm so fucking big on it. I was like, this is the thing. This is the thing that I needed. And I know that my collective, the people I'm here serving, they need it too. That's going to be the thing that helps them the most. So your invitation really is like you're in a point where the changes have already occurred in the energy. Okay, you've done something. Either that or life is just it's moving along, it's doing its wheel of fortune thing, and the cycles are changing, and it's just fucking time. Like you've arrived in a new chapter, vibrationally, and now your invitation is to get into receiver mode. Okay, and being in the receiving mode looks a lot like having a way more intentional conscious relationship with your inner experience. Like for instance, that looks like whenever I'm suddenly feeling really broke because money's always been my teacher. If I'm feeling broke all of a sudden, I'm feeling really negative about that. My job is to, as best I can, become aware of what I'm feeling in that moment. If I need to, if I can, tap through that feeling. If I can't, just shift myself out of it mentally. And it all gets easier with practice. And so I resolve that tension by tapping. And then I gently offer myself a new, different, feel good thought. Okay. And I become aware that I'm feeling bad about my money situation, not because of my money situation, not because the numbers in the bank don't matter what they are. I've been playing with this shit in the low, okay? Doesn't matter what it is. If you're in the low, you're where you're supposed to be. You're being initiated into the high, okay? So just be patient. Be patient, work with it. But I have to become aware and realize that I feel like shit, not because of the circumstance, but because of in here, I'm imagining the fantasy, right? I'm imagining, and this is Pisces energy too. I'm imagining my bank account in the state that I don't want it to be in. I'm imagining it in the back of my mind in the state that produced the desire for more, when I really need to be imagining the state that I want it to be in, regardless of if it happens that way or whatever. It's not about the image or the numbers or any of that bullshit. It's about how you feel, because that, whatever you're feeling, that's telling you, hey, like I'm talking about dominantly, not in the moment. Don't be like, critical of yourself. Don't be afraid to feel. Okay. We feel lots of different things. I'm talking about predominantly how you feel. That is telling you what you're aligned with. That is your point of attraction, if you will. And so if you're constantly feeling broke like I used to, you're probably experiencing brokenness. And even if you have an okay situation, you're probably looking at it through the lens of it's not okay. I mean, hell, I know somebody like that in my life. Like their situation, when they explain it, on paper, I'm like, it doesn't sound that bad. But to them, it's like, this is miserable. And it's partially their mindset, partially because they're not aligned. They're not living out their true design, their true desires. But more than anything, it's how they're looking at it. It's how they're responding to it, and they're not taking conscious control of that. And that, I'm not shaming anybody either. Like that's a journey. It takes a long time. Even when you're consciously trying, it's still really hard. Again, that's where the tapping really helps. Because for a long time I was trying to shift my energy consciously, and like I could not do it. I was struggling so hard until I started tapping. And when I started regular tapping, I started finally feeling the shifts. And I started finally feeling the difference. Like I would be like stuck in a fear that I keep feeling that I've felt my whole life. And then I tap on it, and within a few minutes or a short period of time, suddenly I'm thinking differently. I'm literally thinking differently. I'm not pretending. I'm not performing anything. I'm not trying to think something I don't believe. I'm just genuinely seeing it differently in a way I never have before. And that is the power of fucking tapping, dude. That's the power. Um, but okay, what else? Is there anything else I want to say about this? Oh, no, well. There was something about inner and outer time coexisting, and the example that my wonderful little book gave me was a man was in a meeting and he was observing his boss, nodding along, but in his imagination, he was fantasizing about the girl he went on a date with. And it was like, this is the Wheel of Fortune message, right? So it's talking about inner and outer time existing. And I feel like this, Abraham Hicks talks about the sweet spot of being in alignment is where you are okay with where you are. Like you're chill. You're not resisting it. You're not fighting it. You're accepting it. And you're like, okay, we're here. But at the same time, your inner focus is on that. You're like cultivating that inner sense, that inner feeling of like, I'm already there. Like the other day I had a really good experience with it. I fucking tapped into it like no other. Okay. And I really felt my dream income, my ideal income. It's not even a dream income. It's just like it's just like the necessary income really to like live out here in this world. And so it's like my first level goal. And so I just imagined, I was like, what would that actually feel like? Well, think about it. What would it really feel like to have that? And then I felt it. And I just, instead of harping on, oh, I need it then. I need it now so I can keep feeling this feeling. I realized, no, I'm feeling it now. I'm feeling it now. It's here now. It's here. It's invisible, but it's here in my body. And my body is the tuning fork. So now I'm feeling it. And I just sunk into it. And I just felt it. And I felt so good about it. And I felt so abundant and supported and like, oh, woo, I feel it right now when I start thinking about it. So good. It's already here, baby. It's already here. I don't need nothing. It's already here. And literally, I ended up like saving some money. I ended up like realizing that very soon I'm going to have a lot more abundance coming in. And it's just like little things, little things kind of like trickled in. And I knew it was a remnant of that feeling because it gave me that feeling again. I was like, oh, that's cool. And the coolest part of it was seeing the feedback loop, knowing that, oh, I felt that feeling intentionally and this thing followed it. That's cool. That's powerful. And that is what it feels like. It's a more heightened example of what it feels like when we're really breaking out of that old pattern, that old chapter that said, I'm at the mercy of circumstance. I feel this way because they said this to me, or I feel this way because this thing happened or this thing didn't happen. No, no, we're leaving that behind today. We're leaving it behind, and I actually invite you guys to tap on that. And let's actually do it right now. Hold on, I'm looking at my notes because I'm like, wait, let me make sure I got everything. I think we're good. Okay, let's tap on it right now. Let's tap on that thought. How do I want to do this? How do I want to start it? If you want to tap with me, tap with me. Just make sure that you drink lots of water after you do this. It'll help your body just kind of metabolize the emotional energy. Okay, how do I want to do this? All right, start on the karate chop point. Just tap here gently. Even though, and just repeat after me. Even though, just bear with me. Even though I've been telling myself this story that nothing has been changing or that nothing's changed, and that I'm stuck, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I've been telling myself this story, and really pay attention to your body as you do this, even though I've been telling myself this story, that nothing is going to change. And I'm going to be stuck here forever. I'm willing to look at this differently. And I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Just making sure my shit's still going. Even though I've been telling myself this story for a long time, that nothing's ever going to be different, and I'm going to be stuck here forever, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Okay, go to the top of the head and just tap it wherever you see me tapping. Do your best. It's okay if you don't get it right on the point. Every time I hear that thought that nothing's changing, I feel so disappointed. I feel like I'm doing something wrong, or like I'm missing some important piece of the puzzle. And I feel impatient. And I feel like if nothing changes soon, I'm just going to be known as a failure to myself and others. This is like right in the bra line, you guys. But this is just a story. This is like right on the edge of your nail. A story I've been telling myself to make sense of this disappointment I've been feeling. These negative thoughts are just my body's way of trying to help me understand what I'm feeling. But maybe I just need to feel it. Maybe I just need to feel this disappointment. I've held on to it for as long as I can remember, to the point where it feels like it's a part of who I am. This disappointment in my gut, this sense of powerlessness. It's uncomfortable. That's why I avoid it. Oh, I feel a burp climbing. That's good. That's the release, the part of it. Ah, oh yeah. Celebrate that shit. Maybe I just haven't felt safe feeling my feelings. Maybe it's time to realize that feeling my feelings is the safest thing I can do. Because my feelings don't intend to stick around. It's when I attach a story to them that they get stuck. So maybe things are changing. And maybe that's why this disappointment came up again. Because my body was showing me the way through. Mm, I felt that. Maybe this feeling isn't the obstacle. Maybe it's the way. And maybe, even though it hurts and it's uncomfortable, I can respond to these feelings differently now. I can use the power of my mind to remind myself that I am safe to feel anything I need to feel. Not all behaviors are okay, but all feelings are. And maybe if I work with this energy every day, every moment, as often as it takes, I'll just naturally start to feel really good. Because that's what happens. I'll naturally start to feel like myself. And I'll naturally be aligned in receiver mode and wide open to everything I've asked for. And maybe more has changed than I have realized. Okay. All right. The stream of consciousness stopped. So I'm going to stop. Take a nice deep inhale and just let it all out real slow. 'Cause my friends, all your body needs to really move through this initiation. It needs safety. It needs your presence because this is your power source, okay? It's all this. And it really is guiding you. It really is. And you just got to work with it. And so I invite you guys, and I'm going to flip through my notes to make sure there's nothing else that needs to come through. But I really invite you guys, like, set a timer on your phone if you have to, like, whatever it takes. But set in some sacred discipline time to really like get into the thought process that whatever it is, I don't care what thoughts they are, they can have something to do with what you desire or not. Like it doesn't matter. The bottom line is try to get and create a practice for yourself and where you essentially are using your mind to teach yourself to train your nervous system to feel good more of the time. So that way that becomes your dominant state. Because if that disappointment, impatience, fear, if that's still kind of a dominant state, this is the work that you need to do. You probably need to do more of that than whatever you're doing out here to try to make this thing happen that's not happening. Okay? Like put that hard work in your inner work because that's where it's actually really hard. Like this is hard out here because we're not aligned in here. When we embody in here, this shit flows. I'm living it right now because like just a short time ago, I was doing the tapping club, and the tapping club recently changed to the body knows because that it just became obvious. And I was like, oh, there she is. Okay. Okay. We're here. But, and that was a product of alignment too. I was definitely in performance mode. If you even watch some of my older tapping videos or just my older lives, like you probably feel it. You could probably feel the difference. And it's that changed because of the tapping. That changed because of how I was thinking. I started thinking from the identity that I wanted to be in. And I know we hear that in manifestation all the time, but I think it's hard to understand what that looks like. And I really it really clicked for me when I realized don't tell myself I am wealthy, I am successful, I am this, I am that, or whatever. No, like let me think about it from the nooks and crannies of the identity, like the mundane details of the identity, like and from how I want to feel. Thinking about how I want to feel. Forget the material stuff. Think about how you want to feel. I've been telling myself I'm the type of person who feels really secure in my money. I'm the type of person who feels really natural in my work. I'm the type of person who feels safe in expressing myself. I'm the type of person who, whatever, you know what I mean? It's just like focus on the way you want to feel and know that you are planting those seeds. And if when you say these thoughts, you feel like your body doesn't want to receive them, and you can tell because you contract, you like, ugh. And I used to be that way. Tap through that tension, tap on that emotion that's coming up, and really be specific to what you're feeling. Be specific to the stories that are popping in your head, but really focus on the somatic signals that your body's giving you because it's showing you, hey, This is where we're holding something that's in the way of this. Your body's not saying, no, it can't. It's saying there's something contradicting this that has more power. And so when you tap through that and you resolve that emotional tension, you start to see that those thoughts can just drop in the body without resistance. I mean, I've thought some of the most like ridiculous thoughts that I never would have been able to, like just a couple months prior. And I'm like, I remember going on a walk one day and doing it. And it was the day I realized it was working. And I was like, whoa, okay. I have zero resistance to all these like wildly delicious thoughts. Like, what? And that's what happens because all the tapping, all the releasing, all the feeling, it compounded over time. And I fucking felt it. And now I can do that. Now I can practice conscious thinking more often than not. I have my moments. Don't get me wrong. It's not perfect, but I have my moments and I can practice it more often than not. Oh my gosh, sorry. Sorry guys. And and now I'm noticing that whenever I think certain thoughts that I want to basically turn into an identity, I I just plant those seeds every single day, every single day, every single day. And I notice how it feels in my body. I tap if I need to, but I notice how good it feels. And I bask in that feeling and I bask in that feeling and I just let it go. And I'm like, that was enough. I remind myself that was enough. That was all I needed to do. And then I'll notice that the way I'm thinking automatically changes and it aligns with that thought I planted. I'm like, oh, there's that feedback loop. There's my power. There she is. She turned it on and I'm starting to see it. And it feels so amazing. And then you just want to keep going and going and going. But more than anything, that's you teaching yourself how to feel good so you can receive all the stuff that's trying to come in for you. Because it's here. It's here. You're ready. I don't know who needed to hear that, but you're fucking ready. Okay. Is there anything else? Yeah. Okay. The Pisces energy, feel it, trust it, merge with it. Same thing that I'm saying here. Um, I don't think there is anything else. Okay, no. All right. I think that's all I got. That's it. If you guys want to talk to me about it, you're welcome to message me. I don't bite. I love interacting with you guys. I really do. I'm in it. I'm in this for the community. I really am. If you guys want to talk to me, you're welcome to message me or email me, however you resonate with that. And make sure you subscribe because I do this every Friday and it's really fun. I hope you guys had fun. And if anybody wants to have a personal experience with me, a private session where we do tapping, number one, tapping always, 100%. But also, I bring the tarot into it and astrology for whoever needs that, for whoever wants to look at it through those lenses. Okay, we'll just yeah. Yeah. So anyone who wants to use tarot and astrology in a tapping session to guide what needs to be released, what's subconsciously keeping you feeling stuck, keeping you from merging with that identity that you're just wanting to feel, because really the only reason why you're wanting these circumstantial changes is because you want a permanent change in how you feel. So, but that starts with the inner work. So, anybody who's struggling with that and you want to tap it out, tap it out, tap it out, you want to tap it out with me, I'll put a link down in the replay of this for private sessions. You're welcome to book at your convenience. But I'm drained, you guys. Can you not tell? I'm real drained, and that means I definitely move some energy big time. But I love you guys, and I will catch you in the next live. But all right, I'm gonna have to figure out how to do this. Y'all are gonna watch me awkwardly end this stream. So hold on. Toodaloo.